Hi guys, it's Robert Graham back with Brecht Palombo. We met at MicroConf, and Brecht's running a business online, and he also has a podcast that's pretty new that I like. It's called Bootstrapped with Kids. How you doing, Brecht?
Good. How
Good.
you doing, Robert?
I'm doing all right.
Good.
Doing all right. So today we're going to talk a little bit about your business. Why don't you give us some background about what it is and how you got started?
Sure. It's I think what it would fall under today is kind of under a sales intelligence tool category. I don't know that I knew that necessarily when I started, but the way it's used is that people in the real estate space and the distressed debt space, so people who investors, some small private equity firms, a lot of like commercial real estate brokers, and those kinds of folks use my service to basically to research their prospects to find out who they should be contacting to do business with.
Right. So it's like a tool to build a list, essentially.
Yeah, well, the list is in there, and so what I do is I provide but I guess yeah, you customize your list. So I provide a lot of financial data on all of the banks and all of the credit unions, and also a couple hundred what are called servicers. And so what I try to do is I take a lot of uh, there are these reports that these institutions file, and they're really big reports. And so what my system does, it pulls it in and just breaks out the little bits that my demographic needs, and then I pair that with some other things like contact information, pretty charts and that kind of thing, and make it searchable, and then provide access to that. So that's how.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you end up in that market? That seems pretty unusual as far as this community goes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I wasn't in this community. I was in that community.
Right.
So, um, in the '90s, I sold training and software. I actually sold SQL tuning software, and then kind of .com bust, and I went into real estate, and because real estate always goes up, and
Right.
so
You
I.
you were chasing one bust after the next.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
should I
Yeah,
not go
some
into
people think
now?
I caused them, but it wasn't it wasn't me. Um, and so yeah, so I did the real estate thing for a while, and I worked mostly with investors and developers, doing commercial stuff. And I just the writing was on the wall. Kind of late 2006ish, I decided that I should get positioned for whatever was coming next that wasn't going to be good. And so I got licensed as a real estate auctioneer, and got hooked up with a big firm, like a national firm, and I represented them in southern New England. And there just wasn't much to do in 2006. It wasn't things were still going the right way, and through 2007 also. And the fact is there was business, but I didn't yet know how to find it. So I started learning about what drives that and how to research it and how to understand it. And I uncovered this data. And then when can I swear on this?
Sure.
When the shit hit the fan, then is busy with the auction business, but also there. I knew that there had to be some demand because a lot of your traditional private party seller to seller type of transactions were drying up. So anybody who lives and dies by transactions needed to find another place to do that. And the obvious answer in that case is the lenders, because they're lower in the stack. They control a lot of the assets, and so I decided that I should offer that if I'm using it, and it's something that is helping me to do more business. Then certainly other people in my business had to be looking for to do more deals. So that's how it happened.
Right. So after you kind of got rolling, after you got your first couple customers, what did you do to scale it into a business? I mean, what did you find that worked for you to build it up?
Yeah. So I did a lot of things wrong, to start for sure.
Those are good things to mention.
Yeah. um, I The first product was it was hokey. It was like it was oh man, I think I deleted all the screenshots and everything. It was like just complete embarrassment. I want to just wipe it, from the memory of all. But what did I do to get the first customers? I mean, I went right into content uh, generation and the distribution. So at that time, I don't know if this is 2009 when I really started off with that. Well, let's back up. First thing I did is I went and I spoke at a couple of things. So I went to like area. There was a CCIM talk, so there's a meeting of certified commercial investment members, and it's this group of commercial real estate folks who go through a certain training process, and so it's a decent program. So I went and I spoke there, and then I spoke at a local real estate investors association meeting, and actually I think my very first paying customer ever came from the Real Estate Investors Association, and no other deals came from that at all. And then after that, it was pretty much just content generation. Like I would go and I'd share it in LinkedIn groups and that kind of thing, and people would come and they'd read what I had, and then they'd follow through to a demo page and sign up from there. So that's kind of how it happened.
So those were existing LinkedIn groups?
Yeah, I didn't have my own. I just created my own LinkedIn group maybe I don't know, 12 or 18 months ago, something like that.
Okay. So is that your main channel for like promoting the content that you're creating?
It was like right at the beginning, but now, we're 4 years in and I've got kind of a lot of stuff on there. So I have most of my traffic's organic. It's long tail organic traffic at this point.
Right. How does the long tail organic traffic compare with something like LinkedIn?
It is a huge portion of my sales. I mean, it's the majority of my sales. Now I have some other things going on now, like retargeting. So you come from long tail organic, and then I bring you back. But it is probably, I don't have my stats right in front of me right now, but I think organic is like something like 70+% of my sales come from there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, and what does that process look like? Like, what if I came to your site and I read one of your articles? How do I
Yeah.
go from reading something that you wrote that I think is interesting to signing up?
Right. So, well, let me say first that there's a couple of different ways that you're going to come to the site organically. And so, one way that you're going to come is through the content that I've created, either a blog post, or I also do a podcast. Okay. I also do some videos, and I distribute those on YouTube. The other thing that I do is I have some dynamically generated content, and that really draws a lot because it's kind of very tailored and very specific. So people who are looking for something really narrow, like if I'm looking for the name of a person at a bank in Illinois, and I'm searching for, like, we'll say asset managers at, whatever, United Bank in Illinois or something like that, I'm very likely to come up for that because I've tailored it so I have really long organics, long tail stuff. So basically, after you land on any of those pages, the first thing that I'm going to offer to you is a free mini course. And so that is a 14 part email mini course that's delivered one part per day. And some of it I just teach right within the email, and a lot of it I'm going to drive you back to a video or to download a PDF that I've created for that particular topic that day, and that kind of thing. So most of my, over 60%, about 63% of my sales happen after the mini course.
Okay.
So they get in, they take that, and then 2/3 of the signups come after that.
What's the engagement like on the mini course? Okay.
In terms of
Uh, like how many people stick it out, or how many people drop off? Like,
right. So that's a good question. I don't have great stats on that. I've changed email. So one of the a couple of I made so many mistakes. Robert.
everybody makes mistakes.
Mistakes that I made is I've moved through sort of a lot of email providers,
Okay.
and so you lose some things along the
Right.
way. So I had Active Campaign, which was like a hosted on my own server. It was like my own hosted Mailchimp. That was an awful idea. I was responsible for all of the
Yeah.
deliverability and
Yeah, yeah.
everything's
I tried to
an
run
idiot.
a mail server one time for a while, and it was a horrible nightmare.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. I don't know why I did that. And then I had I had that. I had Mailchimp. I'm currently on Infusionsoft. Infusionsoft does a lot of things really well, which is why I'm using it. But there are some things. Mainly, what it does really well is it keeps everything in one place, which is nice. But there are some things like certain reports that are difficult to get. But I know, just anecdotally, I have on a really regular basis, somebody will say, let me back up. The first email, you get the first mini course email. It says, hey, this is an important course, and I'm going to deliver you one a day, but I might end up in your spam box. You don't want that. So what you want to do, create a folder, and I want you to put these emails in that folder and save them. Then you can come back and you can reference these. And every week I have people who email me or my support person, and they're asking, I have numbers 1 through 11, but I'm missing 8, can you send me that? So I know that people are pretty engaged with it.
Right.
And I also know from my Google Analytics that there's a lot of click-throughs back to the site from it, but I can't give you real good engagement numbers beyond that.
No, that's good. So what about customers now? What are you looking at after 4 years? Just ballpark.
Yeah, so I'm in the hundreds, the mid hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what kinds of things these days are you focused on as far as conversion? Are you still focused on your long tail stuff, or are you looking in some other directions?
So traffic wise, I'm focused on generating content, optimizing that content, and then retargeting. Ads. So I'm using Perfect Audience and AdRoll for that. And so that's for getting people back. And what I'm advertising in the retargeting is to come. I'm not saying come back and buy something. I'm saying free course. Come get a free course.
Right.
And so I'm still pounding away at the free course. I'm looking at testing whether I'd do better with like a instead of a 14-day email mini course, something like a video course, which of course it probably would deliver via email anyway, or a downloadable portion of the book or something like that. So I'm looking to optimize my opt-ins on that course side right now, and that's kind of a major thing that I'm working on. The other thing that I'm really trying to do is reduce friction in the sign.
So I think you broke up a little bit there. I think you were saying you wanted to reduce friction.
Again, back to Infusionsoft, like there's sort of some unnecessary, on the sign-up process. So right now it's a little bit clunky, and so I'm going to look to kind of onboard people in a. Oh, I'm freezing again. Did I freeze there?
No, you
Just
didn't.
on my side.
For whatever reason,
Okay.
Skype is like jumping back and forth between like widescreen and not, and I think we go for a while in widescreen, and then it crashes, and then it comes back, and
Okay.
decides to
I had
go
a
back
little
to
frozen
standard,
thing happening over here, so I didn't know.
Yeah, this is riveting now.
Stay tuned. Where
I think
were
you
we?
were talking about cleaning up your friction in the funnel.
Yeah, friction in the funnel. So too many fields and that kind of thing, which part of that is, I'm not a developer, Robert, so everything that I want to do is a pain in the ass for me, unless it's writing or sending an email. So,
I like how you reduced
but
your
right now
skill
that's...
set there. It was
What's that?
I said I like how you reduced your skill set there.
Yeah, right. Well, I'm really good at sort of conceiving how the thing should go together and then mocking that up and putting in specs and even finding the but then in the actual execution I'm not so good, so code wise. So anyway, that's what I'm looking to do now, is kind of reduce friction. The other thing that I'm doing is I have a long form sales page, and I'm using Crazy Egg right now, which has been a huge eye opener because they have this scroll heat map,
Mm-hmm.
which is really cool. Because there is now, after many hundreds of visits, there's like a distinct point where my sales page just goes ice cold. So what I'm working on is kind of optimizing the funnel at various stages, and that's one of the things, one of the
Okay.
places.
Cool. So what is as far as retention goes? Are there things that you think about specifically with retention? Because I mean, the mid hundreds is kind of getting to the point where that'll make a difference for you.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, let me say this: I only offer an annual plan
Mm-hmm.
right now. So I did offer so retention is on a longer scale, so it's
Yeah.
not a month thing. Um, when I had a monthly plan, there was a few things that happened, right? So one is that the barrier to entry, my price point was just too low. I was getting people in there who had no business even. This sounds, I don't know, not good, but they didn't have any business even. They're not going to do that business. They're not equipped to do the business.
Right.
They just, it was too low a barrier to entry, and so it made for a lot of support, and it made for a lot of turnover just because they I think they just wanted to kind of check it out. They just wanted to see. It was
Right.
so inexpensive that you could just kind of come check it out and take my stuff and then float away. And so when I switched to annual only, it was instantly double the lifetime value.
Right.
And so, but I say all this just to say that I'm not dealing with a heavy like monthly turnover. So the big turnover point that I look for is in my first 7 days. Are you canceling the
The trial.
trial? Yeah, because it's a 7 day free trial. And then after that, if it's within the first 30 days, I'll do refunds, which I don't do hardly any of. But when you first sign up, I bring you, and actually I'm working on this a little bit now too, but I'll bring you to an onboarding page. And so I want to tell you, here's the 3 things you should do to get set up right now. 1, 2, 3, because there is some setup involved with my app. I also package training with the app, so it's all one bundle. So you get like a full training course on what all this data means and how to use it, how it applies to you and your business, and that's all included. And I've broken out what I've tried to do on the conversion side is to break out the values individually on the different training components that I offer, so that it's really presented as like a pretty outstanding value. So you during your 7 days you do get a series of life cycle emails where I introduce you to each portion of the app and some of the most popular or the key training modules that you should be interested in. I have you want me to just run through the laundry list of what I do to try to keep people?
Yeah, sure. You're doing good.
Okay. So I have inside the app I have like a onboarding task list, and so it shows up as like a little red square with the number of items you have left to do, and which is mostly go through the training. And then as you go through the training, you click them off, and then you can you kind of get fully onboarded. I have a dedicated support person, so she's U.S. based, and twice a day checks and handles all that kind of support stuff. And what else do I do? I'm also very accessible, so if somebody replies to me, I reply. Every time. I have well, I don't want to say every time, but most of the time, unless people are totally unreasonable, which
Right.
happens in the real estate business. Uh,
Sometimes I get replies to stuff that it's not even related, right? It's just
yeah,
like spam essentially.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely in an area where there's a lot of get rich quick type of things, and
Right.
so I have that some of that element, and so I get weird propositions and that kind of thing, and I don't pursue that. I also have I have a live chat box, but I'm never on it, so it hangs around, and you can enter your information in there. I use ClickDesk, but and so I respond to all of those.
Okay. Okay. Well, it actually sounds like you have a lot of stuff going for retention. Did you? Um, is there a point maybe in the future? I'm not sure when you went to annual billing where you'll start to see, continually rolling, option to renew situations
Yeah.
that you'll need to address, or has that already started?
Yeah. So I've always had the annual option, and a lot of people took it because it was a lot less money on a annual basis.
Right.
Um, I have a couple of things in place. One thing I have is I have a failed rebill setup in place. So what
Hmm.
happens is if we go to bill you and it fails, then I launch a task for my admin. First thing is I do is I give you a warning. I don't take everything away right away. I give you a couple of days. I send you an email on each of those days with a link back to where you can update your credit card information. But the other thing that I do is I launch a task set for my admin or for my support person, and she makes calls to the people to get the cards back. I'll offer sometimes on a failed rebill. I'll offer like a different payment plan, or I'll offer a some modest discount on the thing if necessary. But I what I found was that a big source of leakage was not cancellations. It was I mean,
Right.
it is cancellations, but it was rebills, failed rebills. So I really have tried to go at that pretty aggressively. And one of the things that I do is I offer a spiff or a commission to my support person to get them back, so she gets $25 if they reactivate based on her call, in addition to her hourly rate.
Cool. Nice. So what kind of tools do you use to organize all this stuff and make this whole thing go?
Yeah.
What do you think are
So
your maybe top 3 to 5 things that keep it
right.
all together?
Um, well, I use Gmail for I use it like a company Gmail, which helps a lot, and because that allows me to communicate with my support person pretty easily, and we've got a little G chat and all that. Keeps things branded also, and then I do Zendesk. I use Zendesk, which honestly I'm not in love with. Somebody wants to tell me where I should go. Uh, listening. Um,
We can just switch right into customer development if you want.
right, right.
So tell me a little bit about
Yeah.
that.
for um, for the chat thing, I use ClickDesk.
Hmm.
For all the automation, like the failed rebills and all that kind of a thing, in the onboarding series, everything's in Infusionsoft.
Hmm.
Um, what else?
What about like analytics?
I use Google Analytics. I
Okay.
have Get Clicky
Hmm.
also. Infusionsoft has built-in
Analytics.
analytics,
Okay.
and then I use additionally I use well I guess that's not well I guess I use you're gonna put Optimizely in that bucket. It's not really analytics, but
Yeah,
it does give some.
it's there. It's a tool anyway.
Yeah, I use Optimizely. I use Crazy Egg. Um, I think that's most of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your main sources of data? What numbers are you looking at the most frequently to drive decisions you make about your conversion and retention stuff? It sounds like
Yeah.
you're reducing friction in your funnel and some of these other things.
Right.
So what numbers are
Yeah.
you looking at most frequently?
So, well, I'm always looking at traffic. I want to know, unique traffic. The next thing that I'm looking at is new opt-ins over the previous 30 days. And then I'm also looking at I look at new trial starts on a 7 day period. So I want to have a certain number of trial starts within, you know, active who are trialing during the 7 days.
Right.
And then I look at revenue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so what about new projects? Are you still focused completely on this, or do you have anything else going on?
Now I do have something else going on, and it's well, I do the podcast. I have Bootstrapped with kids, but in terms of like commercial ventures, I'm right now, and I this is one of the things that we talk about a lot at Bootstrapped with kids. Is right now I'm bringing out a new product in similar space called CRE List, is the acronym for commercial real estate, and we're looking to solve a couple of problems with that. It's evolved a little bit as we've been bringing on private beta folks
Mm-hmm.
and understanding what they really need, and so yeah, that's kind of the other big project where I hope to. I mean, my goal over this next little bit is to um, make Distress Pro a little more turnkey or automated some of the things that I'm doing over there so that I can focus more
So
on getting CRE Lister off the ground.
you mean automated from your perspective?
In terms of my time,
Right.
yeah. So I'm still spending too much time getting the content up and optimized and all that. I mean, ideally, I do one kind of content call like I do if you've ever been to Distress Pro. I meet with experts and I interview them just kind of like you're doing here, and then and I push that out. And ideally, I'd just be doing that every week, and everything else would be running itself. But right now, that's not where it's at. So I'm still very much involved in like assembling the content and getting it up, where it needs to be, and linking it and images and all that kind of crap, which I want to do less of.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a side question, but are you involved in like link building for all of that content? Is that
External
yeah?
link building? No. No, I know. I mean, I think it doesn't sound like it makes any sense that I've like looked to like build this whole thing on search, and then I haven't done any external link building. It's kind of that doesn't make any sense, but that's what I did. So
Yeah. No, I mean,
no, we don't really build.
I feel like the only thing I can say is congratulations.
Well, thanks.
Cool. I just wanted to sneak that question in there, but
Yeah.
uh,
No, I mean, I'm kind of an open book, so if you have anything you want to ask, I do,
yeah.
feel free.
Um, cool. So as far as the private beta customers and stuff that you're getting for CRE Lister, what are those just like old contacts or Distress Pro customers that are current, or how are you digging up that
Yeah,
group?
that's a great question. And so I am counting on there being some synergy there with Distress Pro because it's not a huge mailing list, but I've got, you know, 7,000 or, some odd. And but I haven't tapped that at all yet. And so there's a couple things that I did. One is and actually we're opening in your city. We're opening in Austin. So
Okay.
I have a buddy who I used to do business with who is in Austin, in the commercial real estate space, and he has been. We've got him kind of as an ambassador of sorts, and so we've got a not a really well defined, but some kind of program in place with him, and so he's been referring private beta users to us. And the other thing that I did was I created a Twitter handle for it, and I went out and I just started, talking to anybody who's talking about commercial real estate in Texas or in Austin, and figuring that those would be the people who would be the most techie, or most likely to use an online app, and so that's actually gone really well because I've made some great contacts out of that, and we've actually onboarded folks. So that is how we're approaching that right now. Next up is the phone and an email and whatnot. So I have my same assistant is pulling together a really thorough prospect list, and then I'm going to pursue that on like a hand to hand kind of a thing.
Gotcha. Okay. The Twitter thing's really interesting to me. So you're just kind of like injecting yourself into conversations, or
No, so I would. Again, real estate's kind of a funny space because there's not a lot of conversations except for like, look at me,
right?
here I am over here.
I'm super rich.
You
You could
know,
be super rich tomorrow.
yeah. But even on the agent side, I mean, you regularly see, they get their face on like a on your shopping cart, and then they're up on the billboard, and all this kind of a thing. And so anyway, I find a lot of times in the social space in real estate, it's not actually that social. It's just kind of like blah blah blah. So no, I just went out and I friended folks. So not friended, but I followed them. You can see
Right.
I'm excellent at Twitter, and
Maven.
and I'd visit their website, see what they're up to, and then I'd come back and I'd be like, "Hey, checked out your site. I'd really like whatever you did there." Or then a lot of times they'll just follow you back, and then I'll just direct message them that kind of stuff when they do, and just say, "Hey, I'm doing this. If you're interested, let me know." And they've been saying yes. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah. So you haven't gotten a lot of blowback on direct messages? They don't all hate you.
No, no. Again, commercial real estate very different from like a designer or developer community. I mean, we're talking about my average demographic on. Have you ever heard of what the heck is the name of it?
No.
Begins with a B. You don't know. You can drag. Okay, there's a service. It'll come to me in the next few minutes. Dump your emails in there, and it gives you a full demographics based on your emails. Tells you where
Right.
they live, how old they are, how much money they make, all that kind of a thing. And I want to come up with the name before we're done because it's free to start. But it was really eye opening to me because they're all in their 50s, and
Right.
I don't think they necessarily think that that a direct message is rude or anything
Yeah.
like that. So it's a totally different bald guy demographic.
Yeah.
So with
No,
respect to anyone.
I kind of expect the answer. I just wanted to highlight because I know, even in some markets for me, it's like something I hesitate to do because I'm definitely part of communities that resent that kind of thing. But I also
Yeah,
know that that's not really a reflection of other communities or even like
yeah,
the general public or, you
yeah.
know. I think it's
I don't
actually
go.
pretty rare among people who are like running businesses to be bothered by something like that.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it can't be any worse than a cold call, right? Just to get 140 private
Yeah.
characters.
Who,
Is
who
that
would who
really
would cold call someone though? That's crazy.
jerks?
Yeah. Jeez.
No, that's the next phase is cold calling. So
Yeah. Well, good luck.
probably should brush it up. It's been a while. I probably should find something to read about that.
Oh, really? Some guy wrote a book. You should take a look.
I will.
Um, yeah, so this is a random question, but I'm curious what other people think about it. I've talked to a couple people, but if you use Gmail, I'm sure you've seen that they've like tabbed the interface, right? And now there's like a promotions tab. Have you seen this?
Horror show, man. I'm in the promotions tab. Even from myself to myself,
Right.
I'm in the promotions tab.
Yeah. So
It's
how do you
I
feel about
feel
it?
like the hair is up on the back of my head as you're asking me about this. So far this week I've spent maybe 12 or 15 hours trying to get to the bottom of this. So from what I understand, there's a couple there's a couple ways to get. So it was I am being affected. It was interesting. I got an email that was clearly it wasn't. It was from Customer IO, and it was sort of part of their onboarding or lifecycle series. And it came right to me in my regular inbox over there,
Right.
even though it was clearly like
Promotional.
a promotion kind of a thing. It didn't have the via next to it, and it didn't have any of that. So I started researching what to do, and it's really about. It's about so you got to get your SPF Brecht. You familiar with what those are?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously. And then you can do your DKIM
Yep.
signature. And then the other thing is to get them to reply to you. So, so what I'm thinking about in terms of how to handle that, I have somebody's fixing my SPF records because I can't do it myself, and I probably could, but I'm not going to. And then I'll look into the DKIM thing, but I don't know that you can do anything about that through a third-party email service. But then the next thing that I'm going to work on is to try to get a reply from the very first email that I send to people, because I feel like and it says if once you reply, then it looks like you're having a conversation. So if I could put together something really compelling to get that first reply, then I'm back in the good box. Because yeah, it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know. The funny thing is, as a user, I don't really like it. I feel like there are definitely some things that end up in the promotion box that don't belong there.
Yeah.
The social box just seems like you've now like wasted an extra like 10 seconds of my time because I have to click over to another box to click on
Yeah.
things. It's like, thanks for adding a click to everything, Google.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'll be interested to see how long this goes and how big of an effect it has.
Yeah. And the same week that Yahoo decides to give away your email address too, that should squat it on over there, which I think is an interesting decision on their part.
Yeah, we'll see. That's
We'll see.
but yeah, I just wanted to bring that up. So just to close things out, do you have any sort of final thoughts on people that are sort of in the thick of it that you feel like have helped you out with your conversion and keeping people around?
Yeah. Um, yeah, if we're talking strictly conversion, then I mean the main thing is communication, like having really sort of meaningful, uh, personal communication with people. None of my emails are coming from like unless it's a receipt. Nothing's coming from like no reply or just from my company name. And I mean, I'm big on the email, so I don't send anything that's got like big pretty headers or anything that would look like it would have come from a um, I mean, I think the key is email. And so, as we know from what Gmail is trying to do, and otherwise, is that those emails have to be, they've got to be, people have to want them. They have to look like they're coming from a real person. So what I would say is, if you're looking to do some customer retention, I would probably, I mean, I think in some other apps, there's some things you can do. Like I get. Plugio is nice. I get these charts that they email to me all the
Right.
time, and that's really nice. Because
Are
I like
those
just.
in the promotions tab now? Do you know?
I don't know if those are in the promotions tab. I'll have
Okay.
to have a look at that. Yeah, um, but but otherwise, if you're not providing something like that, then I just think like days of like getting a newsletter read and that kind of stuff. I don't see that happening. So, and I think the way that you retain people is by really like adding value and having regular communication where they're happy to receive it from you. So I don't
Right.
know for what that's worth.
Yeah. That's good. That's good advice. Well, thanks a lot, Brecht. I had fun, and I hope you did.
Yeah, man, my pleasure.